All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. Michael C. Luckman is my guest this hour. He is the world's leading expert on celebrities and their UFO paranormal experiences. A disciple of the late Planet X author Zecharia Sitchin, Michael has studied ancient Sumerian, Mayan, and Egyptian culture and had the rare privilege of interviewing, Don Tomas Calvo, the Mayan Pope, and other leading Mayan elders from the Yucatan and Guatemala. Michael's first book, Alien Rock, The Rock and Roll Extraterrestrial Connection, was read by Prince William as well as leading Hollywood celebrities. Michael taught the nation's first college course on rock music at the New School for Social Research in New York City. Hundreds of colleagues in colleges and universities have since added rock music to their curriculum. Michael is currently working on a sequel to Alien Rock titled Rock Stars, Hollywood and the Alien Context, Celebrities Inside Secrets. Michael is the founder of Cosmic Majority and director of the New York Center for Extraterrestrial Research. And listen to this, Exonation. Bill O'Reilly, the host of Fox's news channel, The O'Reilly Factor, told Michael, "You're the guy the aliens are going to call." Joining me now from New York City is Michael Luckman. And Michael, welcome back to the X Zone. Always great having you with us.
Thanks, Rob. Good to be with you.
All right, so tell me, what is going on with President Clinton?
Well, it was very, very, very unusual. It just knocked my socks off. This appearance of Bill Clinton on the Jimmy Kimmel show.
Mm-hmm.
What's so unusual is that presidents or former presidents just don't talk about this subject ever. They run the other way, as evidenced by President Obama, for example, when Will Smith's kid, Jaden, asked him in the Oval Office about Roswell. He said he couldn't confirm nor deny Roswell, which the kid right away knew and said that means he knows about it. So for Bill Clinton to go on there and to say so many different things, such as that he expects that he wouldn't be surprised if there's an open landing someday.
Mm-hmm.
That he said almost the identical words to that President Reagan said in 5 different speeches, that the nations of the world might forget their individual differences if they were confronted with a extraterrestrial race coming down, particularly if there were any possibility that they might want to take us over, which is not the case, but nonetheless, he said that. He said that he had looked into Roswell, and he had looked into Area 51. He said a whole lot. And what really got my juices going was what he said about Roswell, because I know for a fact, because I had inside sources at the time in 1995 when a report was put together financed by Lawrence Rockefeller, a late billionaire philanthropist here in New York, the oldest of the 4 Rockefeller brothers. And Rockefeller was really pushing the Clintons, both Bill and Hillary. He was using Hillary's kind of as a point woman inside the White House to get Bill, to take a stand on Roswell and open up the White House files on Roswell. But moreover, Rockefeller actually he was serving this up on a silver platter practically. He had organized and orchestrated a group of former military people, a couple of dozen of them at least, who had worked at the Pentagon in the 1960s and 70s to prepare to go before Congress if they could testify under presidential immunity so they wouldn't be prosecuted, and tell what they knew about Roswell, and it was a whole lot. He avoided that, so he is full of bunk when he says that that he investigated Roswell and there's nothing to it and there's no government cover-up. Now, even more to the point, that really tells you where the Clintons are at. During Rockefeller entertained the Clintons at his JY Ranch in Jackson Hole, Wyoming in 1995. he had virtually a captive audience with them because he had announced that he was going to make a donation to the Clinton re-election campaign, but that they would have to, or at least the story that broke in the New York Daily News, which I leaked to the news, was that they would need to listen to, the Clintons would need to listen to basically a lecture from Rockefeller on UFOs. Well, one morning, Hillary is up earlier than Bill. Bill's still asleep at the ranch.
All right, what we're going to have to do here, Mike, is we're going to have to take a cliffhanger. I have to take a commercial break. Exonation, Michael C. Luckman is my very special guest this hour. We've had the pleasure of having Mike on before. He's a great guest and a good friend of the X-Zone. His website is www.cosmicmajority.org. That's www.cosmicmajority.org. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with Michael Luckman as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here in the X-Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. And we're heard worldwide on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast and satellite programming. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, a guiding light spelled LITE.com to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. Michael C. Luckman is my very special guest this hour, www.mycosmicmajority.org. Mike, before we left, we were talking about what happened at the late Lawrence Rockefeller's JY Ranch in Jackson Hole. This is going back to Wyoming in 1995, I believe.
That's correct.
So
what happened? Yeah, what happened was that Hillary was up early one morning. They were there for a couple of weeks, so he really had a captive audience. And she asked Rockefeller not to bring the subject up again to her husband, Bill. And Bill later said to Rockefeller that he compared the UFO subject to a tar baby. And that is a folk tale.
Yeah.
And that basically where a figure is hit with a stick, and the more you hit it, the stickier it gets. The more the stick adheres to the figure, or to the doll, whatever that is.
What wasn't the tar baby in the Uncle Tom's Cabin story?
Yes, I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
So what he was saying really essentially was that he didn't want to, that it was a political quicksand, and once he got involved with it, it would just pull him in. And so he really didn't want to get involved with it. So Rockefeller did make the donation to Bill's re-election campaign, and they were given a formally secret report that Rockefeller financed called UFOs, a UFO briefing document, the best available evidence. And this was circulated to congressmen and senators, and even John F. Kennedy Jr. Asked me for a copy, which I got to him. Mm-hmm. Now, what's in that report, is not earth-shaking, to tell you the truth. I mean, we know, as people who have been involved in the UFO field for many years, we know that we've seen most of the pertinent documents and stuff. However, Bill Clinton probably hadn't, nor Hillary, and it includes documents, either formally top-secret documents that pertain to, it includes documents that talk about UFOs visiting sensitive nuclear weapon storage areas. And it also talks about, in at least one document, about commercial airplanes encountering UFOs. So there are real national security issues and issues of public safety potentially involved in all of this. And for Hillary Clinton, for example, as a former Secretary of State, when she was Secretary of State, for her to ignore all this, and for Bill to ignore all of this, is reprehensible.
Why do you think that the government just stays away from it? Is it that they know and they don't want to tell the people because they believe the people are not ready, or are there some other nefarious reasons behind it?
Well, I think there's a number of factors that play into this. One, of course, is that this cover-up has been going on for so long, involves so many administrations, and whatever's going on behind the scenes. The government would look extremely bad. But I think they don't think that we can handle it. And I also think, more importantly, that this was not an accident. Bill Clinton saying what he did on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He could have talked about a lot of things. Okay, Kimmel did ask him, but nonetheless, he didn't have to stay on it, and he stayed on it, and he gave pretty direct answers, although he avoided the truth in certain cases here. But nonetheless, he did say that they investigated Roswell, they investigated Area 51. That aliens, that he wouldn't be surprised if there was an open landing someday, and that I don't think any of this is accidental. I think that we're being prepared. Now, this has been said many, many times through the years, and you always hear, well, this is going to be the year of UFO, full UFO disclosure and stuff. I don't think that I think that this is a major step to see to gauge public reaction and to prepare us for something that's coming damn soon. Now, all of this coincides, I should say, with what's going on with the Vatican and their build-up for contact with perhaps what's been called by some theologians contact with an alien savior, or whoever, depending on your belief system, whatever you want to call it.
The second coming of Christ.
Yeah, and this blood moon, the blood moon that was just out last night.
Yeah.
This is the first time in like 2,000 years, and it falls on a Jewish holiday, Passover, and 3 more coming. 2 of them fall on Jewish holidays, and 2 of them on Christian holidays. So I think that there's some, connection there. I don't know, I'm not a theologian, so I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it means something. They believe it means it signals the second coming. But
if you look throughout history, Peter, no disrespect to any of our listeners who have different religious philosophical beliefs, but there have been so many prophecies of the second coming of Christ coming that how does anyone take any one of them now seriously?
Well, that may be, but you don't. Wherever you look today, Rob, wherever you look, you see signs of what would appear to be the last days, in one sense or another. I mean, my God, here in New York City, just tonight, today it was like close to 70, and tonight it's in the upper 20s.
Yeah.
Now that's not just tonight. I mean, the weather's been seesawing like that all along.
Yeah, I understand that, Michael, and I appreciate what you're saying, but we did a survey throughout the last last weather records for over the past 100 years, and this is nothing abnormal.
Well, I don't know that that's quite so, because the earthquake activity.
Earthquake activity. I agree with you 100%. Is on the increase, and I believe it's because of all the fracturing that we're doing to the earth, as well as taking out oil, which is the Earth's hydraulic fluid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, what mankind has done definitely has a lot to do with it. There's a new book out that I would recommend. I didn't write it, but I would definitely recommend it. I don't know the name of the author, but it's easily found. It's a major book called The Sixth Extinction. And they're talking about just that the overfishing and the fracking and just everything that we're doing to pollute the atmosphere. The nuclear power plant, the Fukushima.
Oh, big time,
yeah. So, and I wanted to get back though to the Vatican.
Sure, please.
Okay, there's a Vatican has an observatory at Mount Graham in Arizona, and it's a massive telescope. And they came in there, I think it was just a couple of years ago, and they really, kind of took it over. They didn't own it originally, but they kind of took it over. I guess they bought it or bought into it or whatever, used their powers of persuasion, but they got in there, and they now operate it. Jesuits, priests do. And it's a very powerful telescope. Now, there was just a conference of 200 astronomers and scientists giving papers there at Mount Graham Observatory, papers on contact with extraterrestrial life and the nature of extraterrestrial life and the religious implications of extraterrestrial life and all of those things. So there is a definite build-up here, and this is all happening, at this, approximately the same time.
But is it possible that the Catholic Church is getting involved in the extraterrestrial hypothesis, because so many of the younger generation now believe in extraterrestrials, believe that we are not alone, that they're trying to revamp and rebuild their congregation worldwide by marketing towards the younger people, getting the new blood into the church?
Yeah, Rob, it's an interesting point, but over and above that, though, there are the Vatican definitely knows about Planet X. The reason I say that is that the third secret of Fatima, I'm sure you've had guests on through the years.
Oh, sure have, yeah.
That. Okay. Well, the third secret of Fatima definitely pertains to a large object that was called a bolide by late Father Malachi Martin, who was a Vatican insider and definitely had access to the third secret, one of the few people who did. And he said that it has to do with this large bolide coming toward Earth, and Pope John Paul was quoted as saying on a separate occasion that in the instance of the reason that the Catholic Church did not divulge the third secret was what would be the point? It would only serve the cause of sensationalism, almost exactly in his words, because if there was something that was going to be responsible for a flood of biblical proportions, for wiping out millions of people and more in a matter of minutes, then they would not reveal it, and they haven't revealed it in all this time. I think that I should also mention that Zecharia Sitchin, my late friend, who wrote the books about the 12th planet and popularized Planet X, was in Rome, and a man by the name of Father Balducci, who's high up demonologist, as a matter of fact, for the Catholic Church, drove 2 hours to hear Zecharia Sitchin's lecture about Planet X. So, I mean, there's definitely knowledge and interest and involvement by the Vatican with Planet X. Now, there's one thing more that I have to say that really ties into all this. And that,
go ahead.
Sitchin was said that Planet X, when it comes toward Earth, and he didn't, by the way, nobody knows how far away it is, and he thought that it could still be maybe up to 60 years away. Nonetheless, he said that as Planet X approaches, there would be a debris field that would accompany it, and that debris field would consist of meteors, asteroids, and comets.
All right, stand by, Michael. You and I have to take my news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation, Michael Luckman is our special guest. www.cosmicmajority.org. And Michael and I will be back on the other side of the news. And when we come back from the news break, we'll also hear from Elizabeth Joyce on her psychic and astrological projections for April the 14th to the 20th. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this news break. Don't go away. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone radio show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Joyce with the X Zone. This is the week we begin on April 14th. Although we may feel more relaxed as our emotions gain clarity, this is no time to get lazy since we're experiencing transformation on a global scale. Dynamic aspects to revolutionary Uranus and powerful Pluto continue to drive powerful, profound changes that impact all of our lives. This week brings Pluto retrograde, the full moon in Libra with an eclipse, Mercury and Uranus meet up, and the Sun moves into Taurus on the 18th. And then comes Easter with the Jupiter-Pluto face-off. Get ready to rock and roll because this could be a week that music never stops. During the next 5 months, it's important to remember that although you may not always be able to control circumstances, you are always in control of how you react and respond to them. Mental sparks fly by on Monday, flooding the mind with exciting new information, encouraging some out-of-the-box type thinking. The 15th is tax day in the U.S., beginning of Passover, and a full moon lunar eclipse in Libra, the first one in over 4 years. This eclipse is visible in its entirety over all of North America. Visible for 5 hours, the eclipse could trigger a surge of protests, outbursts, and explosions over the next 5 weeks. So try to keep a low profile, stay calm, and have patience. The Sun moves into Taurus on Friday, and a very powerful and creative time when it can easily make steady progress for you if you stay focused. Slow-moving Taurus appreciates the status quo, and not any time when abrupt changes are appreciated. They will come, though, over the next week with the Grand Cross on the 28th. So remember that Easter is about death and resurrection. Life comes out of death, and light follows darkness. Your Jupiter benevolence is on the way to you. Get ready for change and open your arms and heart to your good.
For more information about Elizabeth Joyce or to make a one-on-one private consultation, visit her website at www.new-visions.com, and she does consultations worldwide on Skype. My guest this hour, Exonation, the one and only Michael C. Luckman. His website is www.cosmicmajority.org. So when we're talking about Planet X, we've got the Vatican with their observatory. We've got the Vatican going to listen to the late Zecharia Sitchin, who was one of the most knowledgeable gentlemen when it comes to Planet X, the Anunnaki, and the Sumerian texts. What does this mean to you, Mike? Mike, you've been studying UFOs for years. You've been speaking to the who's who in the rock and roll about UFOs. You've done a lot of work studying the Planet X. You talked to Giorgio Tsoukalakis from Ancient Aliens. What does all this information that you've been fortunate enough to be part of bring you to what conclusion?
Well, it's a very important question. I'll try my best to answer it. I think we are fortunate in one way to be living in what's going to be the most exciting, challenging, and revealing times. On the other hand, I do think that it is essentially the end times, whether you're religious or not. I think it does add up to that.
But are they the end times as such, where the world will stop to exist, or is it the end times of the way we look at life, the way we look at religion, and the way we have perceived in the past our very own existence?
Well, I think that song, "It's the End of the World as We Know It," pretty much sums it up. Everything is going to change. The changes are going to be very rough for most of us, it's a process. From my discussions with the Mayans, this whole thing about the end of the world on
December 21st,
2012. That was really a set-up deal. I mean, I challenge any media organization, and they're the ones who put this story out, to tell me which Mayan or what is their source for that, phony claim.
It was Terrence McKinnon. It was Terrence McKinnon. It was Terrence McKinnon. He was laced on acid or some other hallucinogenic drug. He came up with this story, and people bought into it.
And they bought into it. Yeah. Well, it's the kind of a story that they could run with and make hay of.
Of course.
And then, like a paper tiger, just tear it down. And that's what happened. But anyway, the Mayan Pope, who's the highest spiritual leader of the Mayan people from Guatemala, he was here to address the UN. I was fortunate enough to meet him and interview him for a couple hours, and I also had contact with several of the other key Mayan elders. And what it really comes down to is that the Earth has been disturbed by. We've taken advantage of the Earth,
sure
and
have.
Now it's coming back on us.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, and some of these Mayan elders, by the way, do believe in Planet X, and they do believe in a possible pole shift, depending on which one you talk to.
Yep.
But they think that we're going to have to go through a very, very trying times, which I believe this is the beginning of, to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And not all of us are going to survive. And I'll even go farther than that, and it's not a pleasant thought, but I would say the majority of people alive today will not make it. But and so this is the reason, Rob, why people tend to shut their eyes and their close their ears, because this is not welcome news, and it has to do with their very existence. So my advice to people is, prepare, don't panic.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of things that you can do. There are certain sections of the world that are safer than others, relatively speaking only, because no place is completely safe. And there are certain things you can do in terms of storing food and basic stuff that people need to start to do, and some people are doing it already. But I'm very concerned about the economy. Seems to be just like very extremely world economy on extremely thin ice, and once that starts to cave in, I'm afraid that we're going to have real problems in terms of food, in terms of riots.
Well, look at the geopolitical situation. Look at the
Yeah.
geopolitical situation today with Russia, the Ukraine, and how how it may affect the partners in countries that are very close, that are part of NATO. If you attack one country in NATO, you attack them all. And there's a very, very sensitive geopolitical balancing act going on right now. You had a Russian fighter buzz a U.S. naval destroyer 12 times yesterday.
Yeah, no, I know. It's getting very, very, very difficult. Very tough situation.
And I'm glad cool heads are prevailing.
Right. Yeah, I know. I mean, and it's very frightening, really, when you look at it. And but I do think, I understand that the biblical prophets, I understand, had said that they wish that they could be alive in this particular time period to see their prophecies if they were coming true and how they were playing out. And so I think we're out to see a lot of stuff, and this blood moon thing is just the beginning. A lot of things, and for example, the Indians, the American, the Hopi Indians, I believe, believe in this rare white buffalo signaling a new beginning.
Yep.
And this white and a number of white buffaloes, very rare, buffaloes have been born in the United States. The Jewish people believe in a rare red heifer, which dates back all the way to the time, the reference all the way back to the time of the King Solomon temple, roughly in the area where the Temple Mount is today. the heifer has been born, which is a cow basically, has been born. So there are all of these signs wherever you look, and look. I mean, you got birds by the hundreds of thousands falling out of the sky.
But Mike,
whatever's behind that, but that's happening. They have fish by the hundreds of thousands washing up on the shore.
But Michael, you know as well as I do that any prophecy can be fulfilled by what is happening in the world. Any prophecy. You make a prophecy today, within the next 3 months it can be filled, just by current events.
It can be. I had told the New York Daily News, three reporters I told at a press conference I had here 8 months before Hurricane Sandy. I didn't give a date, and I'm not a psychic, although I do think I have some psychic abilities. But I said that New York is extremely prone to flooding. And now New York City is talking about building a wall.
Yes.
Around the city to a defense, what they're calling a defense system.
Well, it makes sense because the ocean is rising.
Absolutely.
You've got the ice fields melting, the water is going into the ocean is rising. So to build a wall to protect any city that is on the coast, a coastal city, makes perfectly good sense to me. But what they should also do is try and stop the cause. Global warming. Let's start working on it. And here's a question for you, Michael. Here, let me ask you this question. If there are extraterrestrials who have been part of our past and who are, many believe, watching us today, why don't they intercede and help us to rectify the problems that we, their children, their creations, have created on this earth?
Well, I could pose another hypothetical. How about why doesn't God intercede?
Well, isn't
there's no
yeah, because there are a lot of people who believe that we were created by extraterrestrials. That early civilized man called extraterrestrials gods because they didn't know what else to call them.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think that it gets very, very detailed as far as you could read in Sitchin's books, and at this point he had written about 12 books by the time when he died, and they're translated in languages all over the world. There were factions even among the space gods, so-called, or the Anunnaki, as to what to do, basically, with the human race. And the flood of Noah seems like that is real. I'll tell you why. There was I don't know if you read about this. The British Museum currently has on display a piece of a carving, a small carving, less than the size of a person's hand, and that carving dates back approximately a few thousand years, which is that time period of the biblical flood, as well as the supposed passing of Planet X every 3,200, 3,600 years. And it talks about, in this carving, what it means is that it talks about it gives instructions for building an ark, not the ark that we are familiar with, but an ark nonetheless, a circular ark, a very large 2-story ark that was to house animals 2 by 2 from each species. Now that says a whole lot to me as far as that some of the Bible, at the very least, some of the Bible is true, and that there was a biblical flood, most likely, and that there will be a flood of biblical proportions, maybe caused by the passage of Planet X.
The concept of a worldwide flood, and Noah having 2 of each animal, to see the breeds exist after the flood, it's impossible. Where did he get the penguin?
The concept or to actually pull it off?
To actually pull it off. Where did he get the polar bears from? Where did he get the penguins from? What about, there's so many questions that make no sense with that. Or was it actually two of each animal's DNA?
No, I don't think it was that at all, though that would make some sense. But no, I don't think it was. I think it was basically the animals that were, that they had access to.
But if there was a worldwide flood, wouldn't the animals in Africa have been destroyed? Wouldn't the animals in other parts of the world that are not indigenous to the Mediterranean area have been destroyed? But they lived on.
I think I see what you're saying. I don't know. I can't answer that. It's too large a question.
That's why I never bought into that story. It didn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, as I was saying before, though, the meteors, there's an increase of maybe 20-25% in the number of meteors and asteroids and comets that are coming this way. It started approximately the time, or the buildup anyway, started about a year ago. As you recall, there was that big meteor that came down in Russia. That caused, breaking of windows, and about 1,200 people got injured. Fortunately, it was only 1,200 because it could have done massive damage had it hit. It had the force of about 30 Hiroshima bombs, according to the calculations of scientists. So now, since that time, in fact, the next day, there was a meteor about 150 foot across, nowhere near as large as the Russian one, that missed hitting Earth by 5 minutes. Earth by 5 minutes. And
Michael, I hate to do this, buddy, but the timing is up. We have to take our final break. Exonation, Michael Luckman, www.cosmicmajority.org. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Exonation, Michael C. Luckman is my special guest this hour. It's always great having Mike on the show. His website is www.cosmicmajority.org, and Michael is the author of Alien Rock, the Rock and Roll Extraterrestrial Connection, and he's also working on a new book entitled Rock Stars, Hollywood and the Alien Contact, Celebrities Inside Secrets. Once again, his website is www.cosmicmajority.org. Mike, as always, great having you on the show, my friend. Tell me when or if the news will ever break that Planet X is real, and if it is broken, who's going to break it?
Well, this is, again, one of those impossible questions to answer.
Sorry.
But, no, I think that the existence of Planet X, the existence of Planet X in an orbit coming toward Earth will be only made public at the last possible second or last possible minute when the government has no other choice. The panic that would ensue would be phenomenal. And for that reason, they're going to keep it bottled up as best they can.
You know, I can understand the government being able to suppress the, NASA as well as the other observatories and professionals that they have under their control. But when it comes to the amateur astronomers, how are they going to control them from getting the information out into the media?
Well, I'm not sure that they can. However, amateur astronomers who have found meteors and other objects in space before, many times, have not come up with anything convincing. Now, they may, but it hasn't happened so far. There's no question that the comets and the asteroids that are coming toward Earth are increasing.
Yeah.
And my question for NASA is, and for there's a guy by the name of David Morrison, who's NASA's astrophysicist, and he's a big guy. He's director of the Carl Sagan Institute or something like that. And I challenged him to come on to my radio show, Cosmic Majority, to be interviewed about Planet X, and he absolutely refused to go on. But there has to be an explanation. If it's not Planet X that's causing meteors and asteroids and comets to come toward Earth with a vengeance, this is happening all the time. Every single week you can find video and sightings of it. What's causing it? What else could possibly cause it? I have not gotten an answer yet. I'm working on it, but I don't expect that I'm going to get any other answer. I think it is Planet X. And I don't know why we can't see it, although some people claim, of course, that they have, and why, there haven't been any convincing photographs of it. And it is a very large body. It's 5 times bigger than Earth, supposedly. But I think that this is a harbinger of Planet X. These meteors and other objects coming toward Earth.
Hey, Mike, you and I have got to say so long for tonight. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care of yourself, my friend, and if you get any other breaking news, give me a call. Let me know. We'll get you on as soon as we can. Take care of yourself,
Thanks
Michael. Good night, sir.
Okay.
Exonation, Michael Luckman has been my guest this hour. www.cosmicmajority.org. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and heard around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates and satellite programming carriers. We'll be back. Don't go away.